I remember living in a small, peaceful village nestled among rolling hills. It was a quiet place, with only a few people and simple resources, but it felt like home. My little house, though modest, was cozy, and I shared it with my constant companion, Goru, a brown cat with a curious twinkle in his eye. Our mornings began gently. Every day, Goru and I would start our routine by visiting our two nearby neighbors. As the sun rose and bathed the village in a warm, golden light, we'd walk over to each house. These visits were always filled with friendly waves and kind words. Even though there were only a few of us, these small interactions made the village feel like a close-knit family. The air was always filled with the sweet scent of cherries, which grew abundantly around the village. Cherries were our main food, and I loved how they made each meal a bit of a treat. One day, I returned to my cozy house after picking up some fish for Goru, eager to see his delighted reaction. But as soon as I stepped through the door, a sinking feeling washed over me. The house was eerily quiet. I called out for Goru, but there was no response. The stillness was unsettling. I quickly realized something was wrong beyond just Goru's absence. My neighbors, too, were missing. I shouted their names and searched every corner of the village, my anxiety growing with each unanswered call. Desperate for answers, I approached another villager who had just arrived in town. His face was grave as he told me what I feared most. He explained that Goru and the two neighbors had been taken away by a group of thugs who worshipped demons. The village, once a place of peace and comfort, seemed to close in around me. The news felt like a heavy weight on my shoulders, and the familiar surroundings now felt foreign and threatening. I was left with an overwhelming sense of helplessness and a desperate need to find Goru and my neighbors, wherever they might be. Determined to find Goru and my missing neighbors, I set out on a journey far from my village for the first time. The world beyond the familiar hills was unknown and intimidating, but my resolve was unwavering. As night began to fall, I realized how dangerous it could be. Darkness brought with it bloodthirsty demons and monstrous creatures. I needed to find shelter quickly. In the encroaching darkness, I stumbled upon a small house nestled in the woods. A kind farmer and his children welcomed me inside, offering a warm place to rest for the night. Grateful for their hospitality, I thought I had found a brief respite from the dangers lurking outside, but the sense of safety was short-lived. Through the windows, I could see shadows moving, zombies and skeletons prowling just beyond the edge of the house, their hunger palpable. It was clear that the threat was real, and the family I had come to rely on for shelter was in grave danger. With no time to waste, I took up my stone sword, feeling its weight in my hand. Steeling myself, I stepped outside into the night. The moonlight cast eerie shadows as I faced the monsters that awaited. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and the creatures' eyes gleamed with malevolent intent. But then, amid the chaos, I encountered a new threat, an armored skeleton. Clad in dark, menacing armor, it moved with an eerie, unsettling grace. Despite my best efforts, I quickly realized that this skeleton was far beyond my skill level. The armored skeleton knocked me aside with a series of brutal, calculated moves. I had been unconscious for a while, my mind drifting in and out of dark dreams. When I finally came to, the weight of my situation crashed down on me with a brutal clarity. I remembered the farmer and his children, their safety depending on my actions. The once modest home was now a wreck, a smoldering ruin of splintered wood and debris. The air was thick with the acrid scent of smoke and something more sinister, a cold, empty silence that spoke volumes. I searched frantically through the rubble, but there were no signs of life. The house had been half destroyed, and the remnants of what had been a place of refuge now lay in tatters. I called out desperately, hoping for some sign that the farmer and his children had somehow survived, but there was nothing. No response, no movement, just the haunting quiet of desolation. The realization hit me hard. Despite my courage and efforts, I hadn't been able to save them. The darkness of the night seemed to echo my despair, and I felt utterly alone. My quest to find Goru and my neighbors now felt even more distant and hopeless. With a heavy heart and a deep sense of grief, I continued my journey through the darkened world. Each step felt like a burden, the weight of the farmer and his children's fate pressing down on me. The ruins of their home were a stark reminder of my own vulnerability and the limits of my strength. My mind was consumed with thoughts of what could have been done differently. I wished fervently for someone, anyone, strong enough to help me survive and guide me in becoming the kind of person who could truly protect those I cared about. The realization that I lacked the strength and skill needed to face the dangers of this world left me feeling more isolated than ever. The journey was a solitary one, filled with the echoes of my sorrow and the harsh reality of my own inadequacies. The forest seemed to stretch endlessly before me, each shadow a reminder of the dangers lurking just out of sight. I longed for the guidance and support that could transform me from a helpless wanderer into a capable protector. My thoughts were filled with the hope of finding someone who could teach me, someone who knew how to wield strength and courage effectively. The early arrival of winter cast an even harsher light on my already bleak journey. As I pressed forward through the dense forest, the first snowflakes began to fall, transforming the landscape into a cold, white expanse. The chill in the air was biting, seeping through my clothes and numbing my fingers. Despite the beauty of the snow-covered trees and the serene quiet of the winter landscape, the cold was a harsh reminder of the dire conditions I faced. Each step through the snow was a struggle, the ground slippery and treacherous. As I navigated through the dense forest, I came across a figure clad in a distinctive uniform, a sign of a group I had heard whispers about, the Demonslayer Corps. The figure, a seasoned warrior with a solemn expression, noticed my approach and paused. I hesitated for a moment before recounting everything that had happened, the destruction of the farmer's home, my failure to protect them, and my quest to find Goru. When I finished, he regarded me with a thoughtful expression. "I'm not the one to guide you," he said, his voice firm but not unkind. "I'm here on my own mission and cannot provide the training you seek. However, there is someone who can. You need to go to Mount Stone Cold. There, you will find the perfect person to teach you the skills you need. This person has the experience and knowledge to train you in becoming stronger and more capable." The Demon Slayer gave me brief directions to reach Mount Stone Cold, emphasizing that it would be a difficult path but one worth taking. With his words echoing in my mind, I thanked him and set off toward the mountain. Every night on my journey to Mount Stone Cold was a test of endurance and courage. The cold was relentless, biting through my clothing and numbing my bones. The snow fell heavily, often obscuring the path and making each step treacherous. I finally reached the base of Mount Stone Cold. There, in the heart of this remote sanctuary, I met the Stone Hashira, the strongest man alive. His presence was commanding and impressive, a figure of immense strength and wisdom. Clad in a traditional, rugged attire, his physique was a testament to years of training and battle. His gaze was sharp and discerning, yet there was a depth of kindness in his eyes. After sharing my sorrows with the Stone Hashira, He handed me a weathered book, its cover adorned with ancient symbols. "This will guide your training," he said. "Study it well and practice diligently." With the book in hand, I began my training, focusing on its detailed techniques and principles. So the journey set to another level.